Thank you both for joining us today.
Hey.
Can you give us a short introduction of who you are in terms of MSU Denver and this affordable housing?
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having
morning.
us. Great day to be a Roadrunner. I'm James Mejia. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the university, and pleasure to be here. Pleasure to talk about student housing in the same building with our C2 Hub, our version of Career Center, and look forward to talking a little bit more about that.
Perfect. Good morning as well. My name is Taylor Tackett, and so my role is the Associate Vice President in Student Affairs and the Dean of Students. And so programmatically, I'll help run this building once it gets built. And so our team will be facilitating that experience and building the residential curriculum once we get there.
All right, cool. Can you give us just like a short background of what this development is going to be? Because I believe it's not just student housing, right? There's going to be a variety of things in this development.
Yeah, let me give a shot at kind of giving an overview of the entire site, and then Taylor just chime in where you feel appropriate. So this development is on the ball field lot, and we call it the ball field lot because the athletic fields used to be on this side of campus and really along Auraria Parkway, and specifically the baseball lot and the softball field were right there. So we call it the ball field. Eventually, we'll have to come up with something a little more clever than that, but we're hanging on to the vestiges of the old campus there. There are two buildings projected to be constructed on this site. One will be owned and operated by MSU Denver, and the other is more an AHEC property. And just so folks know, anything we develop on campus has to go through AHEC. They are the owner of the property on behalf of the state of Colorado. So as a state entity, AHEC is our go-between. So very much a collaborator and partner in this entire project. The MSU portion of the project are two things. Number one, it's the C2 Hub, the Career Center, and number two is student housing. We will supplement student housing with services on the first floor, not only in a lobby and some retail, but other food service, and we project that food service is tied into a campus-wide solution that we're also working on. The second building is a building of workforce housing, and that will be a building available to the general public, but you have to income qualify to live in that building. So it'll be anything from 60% to 120% of area median income, meaning that they take the average income for this zip code, 60% of that. If your income is within that range, you can qualify to live there. So some workforce housing / affordable housing in that building will also replace the early learning center and expand the spaces and the number of students that we're able to serve in that building by about 30%. So very excited about more housing on campus. First ever student housing in the history of MSU Denver, and providing a physical space for the C2 Hub to really create some activity in working with our students to be in touch with industry partners and continue the continuum between education and the world of work. So.
That's great. You were talking about how this is the first housing in MSU's history. So I was wondering, why now are you making this student housing?
Yeah, why now? Well, we know that student housing is a great tool for retention, and given the cost of housing in Denver, we know that many of our students are looking for an affordable option. So not only is it student housing and trying to provide a place on campus, but it's an affordable place on campus. Both of those things are very important and will be true of this building. Why now? Because Denver continues to change and it continues to become more and more expensive. And as a commuter campus in the history of that, we have found that our students have lived further and further away from Auraria Campus. We want to provide an opportunity, an affordable opportunity, so that they can be closer, but also create a sense of community here on campus that where people want to stay. They want to live, they want to dine, they want to recreate here. Create a bit more of a sticky or kind of a center of activity for students. And we think student housing is very much at the center of that.
Absolutely. I want to amplify that message around student engagement and really how that could really transform our campus. I really like the language, creating a sticky campus, and it's, that exact idea that you just said about living here, working here, and creating a sustainable environment so folks can really be successful in their academics, but also figure out places for them to matter and belong across our campus, which I think many of our students crave.
Mm-hmm. I will say myself, I actually live here on campus. I live here on Links Crossing. So I want to know, in terms of affordability, will it be similar to Links Crossing, or would it be, I guess, like, quote unquote, more affordable or something like that,
Yeah, we are certainly driving towards comparable at least. But driving to get donations in, to work with collaborators, to try to make it an even affordable option. So at least comparable to our peer institutions, City Heights, Links Crossing. But then we also include in that some of the private developments around campus, like co-labs across Colfax and some of those areas. So we know it needs to be at least affordable as those locations. But again, our attempt is to make it even more affordable than those other student housing options.
Gotcha. And will this student housing be open exclusively to MSU students, or will other colleges in Auraria be welcome to sign up?
Well, it's interesting. Just like you're in a University of Colorado at Denver property, this will be an MSU property, and our students will certainly have preference to live there. But never say never. I mean, we also want to be a collaborator and to cooperate. So I have full expectation that the demand by MSU students will fill that building with no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
So say if it was open to all colleges, why should students choose this housing rather than the other housing that we have here on campus?
What do you think, Taylor? I mean, I have my perspective, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we have beautiful facilities and a beautiful partnership with CU Denver. So that's really great. Something that we have created so folks like you can live in their housing experience. I'm really excited and motivated by this as we envision the future of the residential experience and what it means to be a student on this campus, and linking that to our student engagement strategy so that we can really create and facilitate an experience for our students that they're asking for, that they want, that's more catered to their needs and our campus style. So I think that's where we win.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, keep in mind that the center of downtown is starting to move westward. So no longer are we going to be the edge of downtown. We're going to be right in the middle. You've got a Ball development that is going to follow our development, River Mile, which is where the Elitch property is right now. Elitch's will no longer be there. That will be a new neighborhood and developed. Mile High Stadium, we project that will be developed. And then Burnham Yards, south of the athletic fields, a little bit south, a little bit west of the athletic fields, that will also be developed. So gradually you're going to see the center of downtown and the epicenter of downtown, I would say, slowly move towards the west with better crossings at Spear Boulevard, potentially a narrowing of Spear Boulevard. It just makes our campus that much more attractive. Enter student housing right on the Auraria Parkway across the street from Ball Arena and a whole new neighborhood there. This is going to be prime living. So as students with first crack at this building, at a brand new building right on Auraria Parkway, this is going to be prime living. So not to diminish other properties on campus, but this will undoubtedly be my favorite. And if I were a student, this would be my first choice. So.
Yeah.
I will say, because I do live in Links Crossing, it does make it a whole heck of a lot easier just walking to classes. So the location does make a difference.
Yep.
So I want to head back to funding of this development. So Denver 7 reported over the summer that the project is receiving some of the first money from Prop 123, the Colorado Affordable Housing Measure that passed recently. Besides the $15 million from Prop 123, where's the funding for this project coming from?
Yeah, so again, two buildings on this one site. The Prop 123 dollars are going to the workforce housing building. There's also some federal funding that was received for the Early Learning Center, as well as some grants and some more local funding. that building is really leading affordable housing development in Denver, and as the first and largest recipient of those $123, very attractive, and that's going to be an asset for the campus. So excited about that one. For our own project on the C2 hub and student housing, the financing mix is a little bit different. We received $6 million from the state of Colorado, and that's to the good and hard work of Casey Gerhardt and her external affairs team at MSU Denver, really putting us in the position to be able to build anything at all. So $6 million from the state. We're looking at another roughly $9 million from advancement. So a massive contribution from our team at advancement. And Christine Marquez Hudson having a record year in raising funds for the university and really raising the game with regard to donations, donors, relationships, alumni. That kind of work has again helped put us in the position to build at all. And then finally, we'll go out for revenue bonds and that the university will issue, keeping in mind that we never want to put out there so much revenue bonds that it makes things unaffordable or that we're putting the burden of paying back those bonds on students. Really careful about how many and how much we put out there to have to pay back. I should note that even if we double the amount of bonds that MSU Denver has in the market, we are still among one or two lowest in the state for bond issuance. So very conservative in that regard, and that's a good place to be because it means that we're maintaining an affordable campus for our students.
That's great. Is there, like, just real quick, has there been an official plan to start construction on this development?
Yeah, so we've we're in negotiations for finalizing the overall price of the project. So we're still very much in the design phase. You kind of have to go through that design phase to figure out what that final price tag is. But the team is assembled. We feel really good about the team. I'm excited to have Columbia Ventures as our development partner in that. Very excited that the Early Learning Center is a partner. Very excited that the Community College of Denver and Taylor and the Student Affairs team have worked on that relationship with CCD, which is a critical component to the C2 hub. Very excited about those partners in the mix. The more partners we have that are helping to carry the burden of financing, the better off we all are, frankly. So I think we're in really good shape there.
And so is there a set timeline for construction yet, or?
There is. We see the opening of this being fall of 27. And so just in a few short years. In construction timeline, that's right around the corner. And as I say that, I'm thinking about all the work that has to be done to get us there. But fall of 27, we are open. We're trying to push to move that timeline a little bit earlier, but very safe to say fall of 27, we'll have students in that building ready to go for the new semester.
And so going back to the design of the buildings, can you show us or at least tell us about what the rooms look like in terms of student housing? Is it going to be more of a dorm style, or is it more like an apartment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're definitely still in design phase, so nothing is set at all right now. But really, we anticipate having some level of a mix of those types of experiences. So folks who are looking for more individualized room experiences in the context of maybe living with 3 of their friends, will be able to do that versus somebody who wants a more affordable option where you're living in the same room as somebody else. That way folks can sort of elect, and we're getting at that accessibility question around cost. So still trying to figure that out. We've been engaging with students in conversations both through survey. We had an amazing response rate on our survey in the past couple of weeks, and we're facilitating right now some focus groups with individual students as well to get at that exact question. What is the makeup of the rooms? What's the price point that folks want? And then how can we supplement with the amenities there?
All right, yeah. Travis, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, let me ask a couple more questions. I hear what you're saying, and I just want to ask directly, do we have a price point for at least a range of what these are going to cost students?
We have a range for the building as well as a range for the unit. So the building itself will be about $110 million. So some of that, again, state funding, and other parts of that financed with bonds to be paid back with the leases that we get from students. And so price points on units. Taylor, do you want to mention some of those?
Yeah, they're fairly close to CU Denver's rates right now, but again, I want to amplify what James was saying is that we're still trying to drive down that cost individually for our students, whether we're doing that through advancement gifts, through individual grants and scholarships to individual students based on their need. So that's how we're trying to look at that. So I think that price point's between $5,000 and $6,000 per year or per semester. I can definitely follow up with that just to be clear.
So there's kind of like maybe a retail cost for students, and then there's going to be potentially
Yes.
grant and benefits that the university can provide students as
Yes.
well. Is what you're saying.
Yes, that is what we're trying to tee up.
Just like tuition, frankly. I mean, there's the rack rate and then scholarships, grants, et cetera, that students individually may qualify for. We see the same thing happening with regard to student housing. There will be a mix of students there. There'll be some athletes in there, others that are scholarshiped otherwise. But we see a very healthy mix of students being in the building.
And you talked about I'm struggling with the word you used, but the second building, not the building for students.
Yeah, the workforce housing building.
The workforce housing building. You said that that's going to be kind of a leader in Denver for affordable housing.
That's right.
Obviously, this is a bigger problem than campus. It's not just students that are struggling with costs.
That's right.
For housing costs. What's that process been like? What are the challenges to building affordable housing that we're learning through this project?
You know, affordable housing cannot be built without the involvement of government and philanthropy. Those two elements are incredibly important. So either there's some tax breaks, some grant funding, or in this case, Proposition 123 dollars, whereby the voters created an affordable housing pool of money. That is essential. It's critical to the process of creating workforce housing or anything less than market rate housing. That process is being led by the developer, Columbia Ventures, and given their experience in this realm, it's evidenced by how they've assembled their financing for the project, and the fact that they've already acquired 40% of the first year that $123 are available is an incredible statement on how that project really gets done. So keep in mind that every dollar that comes in is one less dollar that folks are paying in rent, and there's an exponential effect of once you defray those capital costs, it just benefits the people who are living in that building. So Denver is not getting any cheaper. It's an initiative. Affordable housing is an initiative pursued by the governor. It's an initiative pursued by the mayor of Denver. There's no mistake in that. The need is very clear, and we just want to be a very strong partner and create the kind of campus that for students and some other residents that is affordable and has the kind of dynamic environment where people want to live. So really excited about this project.
Let me ask also, are there any plans beyond this project for more affordable housing or student housing on campus? I know that's probably far in the future, but...
Well, if Taylor had his way, there'd be all kinds of student housing. No, this is our first foray, and we're grateful to Taylor and his team because they've got to operate this. I get a build and step aside, and we get to hand it off to student affairs and Taylor and his team to operate and make sure that this is the environment where students want to live. We will reassess after this building. We've got to look at demand and really see how many students, now that one has been built, how many more students want to live on campus, where do they want to live, what's the price point, what are the amenities, and see if there's a matching between what the university is capable of building with regard to financing at an affordable price point and the number of students that desire to live on campus. So we'll pause after this first building, kind of reassess, make sure that the services that we've created for student housing in general are there, everything is operating well, and then we'll take another look and reassess and see what other housing is needing, where, and at what price point.
Thank you. I'm going to throw it back to Tyson. Do you have any more follow-up questions?
Not as far as I know.
The other question that usually what we end on is, what didn't we ask about that's important?
You know, Taylor, you might mention a little bit more about the why, because I think that is really the crux of this. Like, this is a massive initiative on behalf of the university. We're putting substantial time, effort, and financial resources into this project, and the combination of a C2 hub and student housing is not a mistake. Putting some retail in there, that's not a mistake. That's all carefully planned. So the why of that combination, I think, is pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely vamp on that for a bit. I think, you know, we have a really big need around basic needs on this campus and different levels of insecurity. So a really good example I can offer you is I get to support the Student Care Center in the scope of my work. And one of the things that they offer is the Student Emergency Fund. In the influx at the height of COVID, when we were having all of these extra dollars going to support students, HERF dollars, we handed out over $600,000 directly into the hands of students to meet some of their basic needs. 80% of that dollars went to eviction-related resources. So we know that many of our students are having a lot of challenging finding stable housing here in the Denver community. And so I think this is an opportunity for us as a campus to really step in and help create that experience. We also know that our institution is filled with first-generation students and students navigating this experience without support infrastructures as well, too. And so when you can live here, work here, eat here, learn here, really you're creating an all-around, wrap-around support infrastructure that we talk about as an institution and what we really sell to students. And so I think that this is one of the ways that we really get that across the line, is making affordable housing that is attractive, that also gives amenities programmatically and otherwise that will really help folks stay in college and finish and be able to do that in an affordable way. And so that is something I've been really proud of this team, all of the teams, all of the folks working on this, our senior leaders, President Davidson. That has been the hyper focus of the entire why behind this project. And to me, that's critically important.